Peace, peace, peace. I feel great right now. This is the 4th episode of Higher Self Podcast, and what I want you to do is I want you to subscribe to my YouTube on Higher Self Network, and again, subscribe to my YouTube on Higher Self Network, and follow me at King Jake Mitch on Instagram. Peace, my name is Jaytaun. I go by Jake. Jake stands for Jaytaun's, a king everything. You know, it's important that we become aware of our emotions. You know, a lot of times we try to escape our emotions and we try to run from our emotions, or we try to bury them, you know, but it's important that we utilize our emotions to create the best outcome for us. Every emotion that we have a chemical response on our bodies, you know, so it's important that we become aware of our emotions. You know, when we are happy, a chemical is released in us, you know, that makes us experience this feeling of happiness. You know, when we're sad, a chemical is released in us that makes us experience this feeling of sadness, you know. So just truly being aware of our emotions, you know, when we're jealous, when we're envious, when we're hatred, you know, we release this chemical in ourselves, you know. And a lot of times we feel hatred for others, we feel envy for others, and we feel jealousy for others. But it's so important that we be aware of these emotions, you know, because I seen this guru speak about it. You know, he said when we have this emotion of jealousy and we have this emotion of envy and hatred, it's like drinking poison and expecting the person that we're jealous or envious of to die, you know. So just truly being aware of our emotions, you know, because our emotions are our responsibilities, you know. So when we're feeling a certain way and we don't have this feeling under control, it's almost as if we're releasing this chemical to harm and kill ourselves, you know. So just really being aware of our emotions, you know. And social conditioning is so big to me, you know, just from experience, you know, because we was conditioned through our school systems, we was conditioned through our households, we was conditioned through our environment, you know. We've been conditioned a certain way, and these conditions didn't allow us to grow, and these conditions didn't allow us to be our best self, you know. Cap is a great mentor of mine, you know. She's so much to me, you know, and she always just pouring to me. But she sent me this video, and this video was of, I believe they was ticks, and they did an experiment on these ticks where they put a bunch of ticks in a jar and they sealed the jar off, and then the ticks was limited to how high they can jump, and then after a certain amount of time they removed the jar, and then eventually the ticks never jump past that limit.
The jar, and the lid is then sealed. They are left undisturbed for 3 days. Then, when the jar is opened, the fleas will not jump out. In fact, the fleas will never jump higher than the level set by the lid. Their behaviour is now set for the rest of their lives. And, when these fleas reproduce, their offspring will automatically follow their example.
I believe this video was so powerful is because that happened to us, you know. We've been conditioned to be put in this jar and put in these environments, you know, to where we're always focusing on everything but ourselves. You know, we go through school, we go through so much time in school, and the school never deals with the greatest thing about us, our intelligence. You know, it never try to make us the best version of ourselves. It always try to make us fit in to a standardized state exams, you know, to a grade level or to a system. Then we apply these same mindsets into the work world. You know, we get jobs and we're always trying to fit in. So eventually we're all traveling this life because we're suffering. You understand? We don't know how to navigate our faculties. You know, our faculties are memory, our faculties of the present moment, our faculties of the imagination. You know, there's a whole twist, you know. So a lot of us are living in our past and we're suffering the past. A lot of us are living in the future and we're suffering the future. But these conditions, the condition of our environments, you know, the condition of our foods, the social condition of how we even interact and speak with each other, you know, the social condition of how we consume, you know, the social condition of how we do commerce here. You know, we're being conditioned to a place where it's not for us to truly grow, it's only for us to be at a limit, you know. So once we go beyond these conditionings, you know, once we start looking at ourselves for who we are, the true nature of ourselves, once we start connecting to the consciousness of who we are, you know, and not just from a subconscious or unconscious mind, you know, then we can go beyond, you know. That's why it's so important to become aware of our ego, you know, because our ego wants to be right, you know, our ego wants to be first, you know, our ego wants to prove, you know, our ego is so limited, you know, and our conditions feed our ego. Until we remove our egos, until we start removing our conditions, until we start seeing our truest self as consciousness, then we can rise above these conditions. You know, our eating is a condition, our schooling is a condition, the way we interact with each other is a condition, you know, and our suffering due to the lack of love of self, the lack of knowledge of self, the lack of trust of self. You know, we as people, we want to be highly entertained, you know. And even when you break down the etymology of entertainment, you know, enter means enter, tang means take control, and ment mean mind. So you just have to be aware of these words. You have to be aware of these things. Why would we want our minds to be taken control of for so much? You know, why would we want to spend so much time partying? You know, why would we want to spend so much time being entertained when we were sent here to produce truly at the highest level, you know. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with entertainment. I'm just saying, why do we want to abuse entertainment rather than seeking information and knowledge, you know, so that we can grow, you know. So just truly being aware of all of these conditions, you know, being aware of the condition of how we train our children. You know, a lot of times our conditions is so deeply rooted into our DNA. Think about how we was conceived, you know, when our mothers and fathers laid down. How was their minds, you know? How was their conditions? How was their limits, or whatever it is they was going through, you know? We was born into that, you know. So a lot of our conditionings that we wasn't even aware of was already in our DNA, you know. And then the environment just amplified the condition. The schooling just amplified the condition. The lifestyle, you know, the negative lifestyle or whatever the lifestyle that we have just amplified the condition that we was born in, you know. So just like even sometimes religion, you know, I'm not against no religion, you know. Anything that makes you a better person, like I said, any school of thought that makes you the best you is great, you know. But when something limits us, or when something's not allowing us to be the best version of ourselves, then that's a bad condition, you know. So anything that puts that lid on us is a bad condition, you know. Then ultimately we've been so conditioned to live in a certain type of environment within ourselves, and also a physical environment, that we fear to even remove the condition. Even living our life in fear is a condition. You know, like, who made us be so afraid? What are we afraid of? Why are we afraid to do what we think is right for ourselves? You know, because fear is a condition, you know, and fear isn't real. Once we start removing these lids, you know, then we can grow, you know. But what happens is, through our conditions, we produce the same cycle over and over, and then we get caught up, you know. We get satisfied and we get comfortable in these cycles, you know. So something that I always say is, we can't break cycles and we entertain cycles at the same time, you know. We have to choose, you know. transformation is always happening. You know, in order to transform into a better version of yourself, you must give up who you are right now. You know, a lot of times we get comfortable, you know, we hold on. We say things like, this is how I'm going to be forever. You know, we kind of curse ourselves. You know, we curse ourselves through the way we speak. We're of the condition of even how we speak. You know, we curse ourselves through language, you know. So truly, because we wasn't never taught the correct way to speak to ourselves, you know, even the language that we speak now is a forced indoctrination. You know, this is not our truest language, you know. But ultimately, we still have to be aware of what we say, because what we say is powerful to who we are. You know, a lot of times we don't understand that what we're saying, the words we're speaking, is producing a reality for us, you know. So when you say something like, oh, I'm never going to get that house, you know, or I'm never going to change, you know, you're really signaling trillions of cells to create an environment that's never going to change, you know. And also, you know, so you really have to truly be aware of the language, you know, because the language is cursed, the language is spells, you know. That's why it's called spelling, you know. So truly just really being aware of the language and how you utilize the language to yourself, how you utilize the language to others, you know. How you speak to anyone is how you speak to yourself, you know. How you speak to your children, you know. You truly have to be aware, you know, especially when you mean something. It's one thing to say something and you don't mean it, and then the energy is not behind it, so we'll know if you real or not, you know. But when you mean it, you have to be aware of that, you know. A lot of times when we say things like, man, I'm never gonna grow up, I'm never gonna change, you know, we mean that, and we produce a reality that won't change. And anytime it's time for us to change, or it's time for us to excel to that next level, we fight to remain the same. We don't want change. We don't want to grow, you know, and that's okay. You know, if you want to remain the same, that's good for you. You have the choice. That's the beautiful thing about this. You can be exactly whoever you are, but if you want to grow and you want to go beyond limits, you know, if you want to excel to your highest level, you know, if you want to create purpose for yourself, you know, you got to exchange who you are daily, you know. You have to kill the ego daily, you know. Poverty. You know, they conditioned the mindset. You know, I don't believe that poverty exists as a physical thing. I believe that poverty exists as a mentality. You know, the fact that they are allowed to call this environment poverty, then we mentally digest this and we start acting as if this is a poverty environment, you know. So we start thinking poverty, we start doing poverty, or whatever that is perceived, you know. So that's why if we go to a suburban area, you know, subconsciously or unconsciously, we treat this better because we don't think this is poverty. But that's all a mentality, you know. You should always treat whatever it is, wherever you at, because your environment is your mind, you know. Where you live is within you, you know. So wherever you go, wherever you at, you know, you should always treat it as if it was yours, you know. So truly just being aware of all conditions, you know, removing that lid, you know. We must remove the lid off of self, you know, to really just ascend to that highest level, to be our greatest self. Close out with gifts, you know. Today I got 2 books. So this first book is The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. You know, and Cap gave me this book. You know, Cap inspired me in so much ways. You know, I'm truly a student of Cap. She's a mentor. She's a spiritual guide to me. So I'm really thankful and grateful of Cap. My second book is Total Meditation by Deepak Chopra. You know, Deepak's my guy. You know, Deepak actually sent this book personally. So I'm thankful and I'm grateful to even be in his presence, to always share space, to always share company, and just for his mentorship and all his spirituality and his blessings. So thank you. So I want to share those books with you. Peace.